I'm Patricia Drey Busse, Managing Editor of the South Washington County Bulletin, and I'm here with Chris Reese and Tom Dippel, and we're going to be talking today about environmental issues in the city. So to start us off, the first kind of big issue that's come up lately is the proposal from 3M to burn waste from outside companies in its incinerator. And it sounds like basically where we're at now is the city council has said that they would like to see an ordinance come up before them that would prevent 3M from charging to burn the outside waste in their incinerator. So I'm wondering what you guys think of that idea of passing an ordinance to stop them from at least making money off it. They can burn the outside waste, but they can't make money off it.
Oh, I think that's just a terrible ordinance. I don't understand why the city would want to inhibit a business from making an income on something that, as far as I can tell, has extremely minimal impact. What the Minnesota Environmental Protection Agency has said is that it will be almost unnoticeable, the amount of emissions increase. And then you have the arguments that, oh, but they're going to be trucking this through Cottage Grove, and really? I just don't really see that as an argument against a company being able to do something that they would be able to do and stay in business, keep jobs here, and provide income for the surrounding area as well.
I think it's actually a good idea. The reason being is that the MPCA has in the past not followed through on a number of things. They've allowed things, and then obviously you've had to go back and clean them up later. And so this is the only control the city has over it becoming a commercial incinerator, and continuing, the possibility for pollution into the river, into the water that we already have problems with, and we don't even know the depths of, because the chemicals take longer to get into the groundwater, so we don't know where that is. And so this is just one more protection that the city has actually taken a stance on, saying, we'll let you do this, but we want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that's not going to be harmful to the citizens.
And that position is fine if, for whatever reason, you want to link the water quality issue to a commercial incinerator. But I see those two things as being entirely separate, and you need to be objective and look at the issue at hand, and that's the incinerator. It's not water. And so to kind of cloudy the discussion or argument with the water quality issue, I think, is getting apart from the actual real point, and that is people think that the incinerator is bad. And you need to address the facts. The facts are that it's not going to increase emissions to a point where it's hardly even measurable. And so considering that, I just cannot understand the reasoning or how we are protecting citizens by doing that, by banning it. I don't see it.
Well, let's talk about water quality then. Mm-hmm. Is 3M doing enough? I mean, they just started trucking out all this soil and sediment. I assume it's going to take a while yet, but are they doing enough on the water quality issue?
No. I mean, our city wells are contaminated. The people that live next to the property, are encouraged not to use the water. They're drinking bottled water, and they'll invite anybody in who will listen to just try it. Or, they've invited one person who told them they're crazy to come in and take a bath, which was refused. But no, I mean, obviously they're taking away 4 inches of topsoil. But that stuff's been going down there for 40 years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's got to be farther down. If it can get into the groundwater and get into the aquifers, then obviously 4 inches of topsoil isn't going to be much. Plus, there isn't anything that's going to say that they're going to continue the testing to make sure that that it's either slowing down or stop from getting into the water. I don't think they're doing enough. I mean, you've got Oakdale, which is getting water filter treatment systems. You've got Woodbury, which is considering it. You've got all these other municipalities, and we're the ones actually sitting here with one of the biggest plants that they have, and basically we're getting 4 inches of topsoil removed from a very small area and trucked away to be burned. So no, I don't think they are.
So what do you want to see happen here?
I want to see more of an effort of controls being put forward to say, to know that we're testing for the long term, we're going to continue testing, and we're going to work with you, not to just see what we can do, but we're going to work with you to see what we can do to make changes to your water system that there should be an acknowledgement that they are responsible for. And that hasn't been there. And to me, that's an easy, good faith effort, saying, we'll do testing, we'll work with you on cleaning up your groundwater, or trying to come up with solutions. Mm-hmm. And that isn't there.
And I agree that there should be an effort on 3M's end to resolve that issue. And they should admit to, and I think that essentially they have, but you know, why would they be trying to make an effort to do anything if they didn't think it was their fault? Beyond that, though, I think it's important to keep that issue here and realize that out of ignorance, nobody knew what was going to happen or what was going on back then. And 3M didn't intentionally pollute all the water. And if they knew what was going to happen down the road, doubtful they would have ever made that business decision. And so to hold that against them continuously, I think is an error as well, because then you just create a hostile business environment. And what business would want to move into a hostile business environment if they look at the 3M issue, see, okay, they didn't know what they were doing, now we know it was bad, but the city still just keeps biting at them. I don't understand the mentality behind that.
But this goes back to the ordinance. In that case, you can claim ignorance and say, well, we didn't know this was going to be harmful, even though it was tons of chemicals. But when you have the person who is the executive director of the plant for over a decade coming out, and not just coming out and saying this is bad, but coming out strongly and saying this could have damaging effects, you have to take that person seriously. I mean, you know, it's not like he came out and just said, well, I don't agree with it, but whatever. There was very strong tone that came out that said this is a bad idea for them to become a commercial incinerator. And that's somebody with inside knowledge of how that plant works, has been there for a decade, and has been part of the community. So I think they are tied together in that, you know, sure, you can say that in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever, we didn't know these were going to be bad, but we still dumped them in the river and buried them. And now we're gonna incinerate things that may not be extremely noticeable, but it will make a noticeable difference as far as what's coming out of their stack. To say they are tied, because we don't want to be in a boat where 20 years from now we're claiming ignorance that we didn't know any better back then.
And that's where I see the logic is faulty, the reasoning is faulty, because if you follow that, then anything that you deem possibly harmful in the future, you just ban. And you just regulate it out of business. And we can see that happening in the United States. Everything is being suffocated by government regulation. And now we have this job crisis, and there's more regulations coming down the pipeline. And there's regulations on things that don't need to be regulated, and then there aren't regulations on things that do need to be regulated. And so I see the whole entire thing is just completely backwards. And I see that just following that same line locally here in Cottage Grove, too, with the incinerator.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, so Tom's going to get the last word on this, but it's been an interesting discussion, so thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.